Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and we have an exciting day today. We have finished the final Marius the Gallant mission. Now, I know I'm not the first content creator to create a video on Gallant. That was the goal when I first started this. I wanted to try and be the first one. But I don't think many of the content creators actually have completed it themselves. I think they've been able to almost get loany accounts at the moment. It is still quite a difficult challenge for a lot of people. We are starting to see many more players now hit like the 40 Immortal Essence, the 20 Live Arena Battles in the Phase 3. We can kind of get a bit of an idea of how many people have got it. There's only 28 reviews. It's not a true reflection because not everyone reviews the champions, but you can't do the reviews until you acquire the champions here. So if we looked at something like Gallius, you can see that he's got 99 reviews. He's only been out 3 weeks because he was bugged. So it's still a very difficult champion to acquire. So I feel like this is quite an achievement to finally finish Marius the Gallant. We're going to need more missions now because I've run out of missions, which is... I wish there was like some sort of continuous loop missions here that we could kind of keep progressing with lots of different things. That would be quite fun. But, overall, the mission experience, I would say, was very time-gated by Iron Twins. Otherwise, it was a pretty straightforward experience. The real pain points were those Immortal Essence quests where you had to basically get 80 Immortal Essence from Iron Twins. That took me quite a while. I got lucky basically the other day. I think it was Monday. I got 22 in one day. So I got 6 times 4, so 4 rolls. Super lucky one day. But otherwise, the mission track has been quite fun. I really do enjoy these missions. It gives you something to do every single day if you have something to progress with. It does feel quite fun, even if some of them have been a bit sort of time-gated. The 40 Live Arena Battles was not too bad either, but that's probably what a lot of people would be worried about. If you stay in Silver, it's not as bad, at least. So we can complete this, and we can acquire Marius the Gallant. It's no better time to do it than in Clan versus Clan. We got ourselves 30,000 points there as well, which is cool. So what I'm going to do right now in this video is I'm going to build him up just in a very quick build, and I'm going to show you why Marius the Gallant is such a powerful champion for you to chase in your own mission track if you're progressing. So I've got my Marius the Gallant here at level 40. I will be running him through Masteries after I've kind of done this video today, and then I'll probably do a follow-up video where I actually showcase all the new teams I'm going to be building around Marius the Gallant. Now, I actually think the best set you possibly can pick for Marius, if you can do it, which is very difficult, is 9 pieces of Slayer. Now, the reason why I say this is very difficult, because if you want to use Marius the Gallant in Hydra, you have to work incredibly hard to reach his enemy max HP caps. And that is why I have gone for Ignore Defense with a chance to repeat. Now, if you can't get the 9-piece bonus, then the 6-piece is also really good. But also, if you can't get Slayer in 6-piece, I would consider going towards like a Merciless build. Now, the reason why I say this is because he is double AoE, so therefore you're going to get twice the amount of turn meter here, because every time he attacks, he's going to get turn meter. So let's do a bit of a skill breakdown first to explain why Marius is such a powerful champion for your account. So let's start with the passive here, Steadfast Knight. He's going to be immune to turn meter reduction effects and decrease speed debuffs. The other cool thing about this passive, whenever an enemy changes form or attempts to decrease this champion's turn meter, he's going to counterattack with the champion's default ability, which is his Auric Lance. When he counterattacks, he has a 50% chance to emplace Enfeeble. Now, if you don't know what Enfeeble does, you can use the in-game sort of tooltips here. It does help you to slide a little bit. There's so many different effects and debuffs. What Enfeeble effectively does is it makes it so that the enemy can only land a weak hit on you. So it's effectively a guaranteed safety net because they can't crit you, they can't one-shot you. Probably will be an absolute lifesaver if you can land it. The only downside to this is if there is polymorph on the enemy team, then there's a very strong possibility that you will get polymorphed. So in an arena setting, it could be quite problematic. In a non-arena setting, this is incredibly powerful for the decreasing of turn meter. If anyone tries to slow you down, you get this free Enfeeble every single time. And like I said, it's an AoE A1, which means that every time I attack an enemy of, say, Hydra, if I attack Hydra, for example, then I'm going to be able to get 20% turn meter back. Every single AoE ability attack that I do is 5% per enemy. So if I'm attacking Hydra, I get 20%. If I'm attacking a wave of 5 enemies, I get 25% turn meter every single time they try to drop my turn meter. You just add a lot more value to this passive. Then we have Galloping Thunder. He's going to place increased accuracy and increased defense on all of your allies for 3 turns. Then he will place a stun debuff on the enemy with the highest turn meter, and then he will get an extra turn. So this extra turn basically means that this is a permanent 100% uptime, because 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown with an extra turn is effectively 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, because he will always be able to get back to these buffs before it falls off your allies in a 1-to-1 scenario. So it effectively means everyone in your team has increased accuracy and increased defense, and you can stun the highest turn meter. Then we get to what really makes Marius interesting, Death or Glory. He will attack all enemies 3 times. Each hit decreases the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn, which is quite nice for Polymorph. Even though his A1 will proc Polymorph, the A2 will not, because decrease in buff durations doesn't count as a debuff that Polymorph will activate on. So it's a very safe option. You can see what's really important to know here is the damage is based on defense and enemy max HP. Now, the challenge here with the enemy max HP is that this isn't a 0.1. It's not a 10% of the enemy's max HP like it is with someone like Newt and Coldheart. What it is a 3.5%. It's a 0.035, or is it 0.03? One of the two. It's either 3 or 3.5%, which means that the burden of hitting the 10% cap, right? All bosses at higher end, you need to hit 10% of the boss's HP to hit the level of cap. You have to work harder. The crit damage is more important, and when you put it into Hydra, where there's an AoE penalty, because this is an AoE max HP, this just becomes much more challenging. That means adding Ignore Defense is almost an essential part of his ability kit if you want to use him in Hydra. Not so much if you want to use him in other places, because other bosses don't have any sort of like flat damage penalty to AoE abilities, which is why Newt is so popular in Hydra, because you can actually build him with far less crit damage than you need someone like a Royal Guard, because you're not suffering that AoE penalty. It's about a 40% penalty on average. I think it depends if the Suffering Head is out or not. Suffering Head will reduce it further. So if you imagine if I'm hitting for 100,000, in Hydra I'm going to be hitting for around 60,000. It's a very aggressive penalty for an AoE ability, so you have to work a lot harder. This is why I'm recommending you absolutely get Ignore Defense on Marius when you get him. I will be getting the Helm Smasher Mastery. I will go down and get the Helm Smasher. I'll do the offense tree. I'll get the Helm Smasher to try and maximize the amount of Ignore Defense, because 30% plus Helm Smasher 25, we can then use, for example, if we were to take him into Hydra, we can see that I've got a 20% bonus as well from the area bonuses. So you can see we're stacking it up. We get 20% plus 25% plus 30%. If I get Crushing Rend, this is how you make this hit cap. Without these Ignore Defense bonuses, you need something like 1,000% crit damage, which is clearly not achievable. Ignore Defense is the most important thing. I've got him in a full 9-piece set Slayer. I was fortunate enough to be able to do the deck event and get a pretty good banner. This actually was a Chaos Ore banner. We originally had it as a HP triple attack percentage. I Chaos Ored it, and it gave me a triple speed. So that is the value of Chaos Ore when it pays off for you. It doesn't always happen. Defense into speed is pretty good. You absolutely could go accuracy, but because he's going to give himself increased accuracy anyway, the accuracy burden is much lower. I do have a bit of a rubbish amulet. It is what it is. Part of me feels like I should reforge this. However, if it reforges away from any sort of defense or crit damage, then it's not ideal. It'd have to reforge into a crit damage primary, which is a very high risk. At least with a triple crit damage, we're only losing about 17% crit damage at the moment. And the ring is a whatever ring. It doesn't really matter. It's the only Slayer ring I've got. It's worth it for the 9-piece bonus, because the 9-piece bonus is going to have a chance to repeat my AoE damage ability, which means when I'm attacking on this AoE ability here, I have a chance to repeat it. Now, I need to double check whether or not this actually can repeat per hit or per skill, because that could be quite valuable. But that is what the reason why I've gone for Slayer. It just enhances the damage potential of Marius. And obviously, we're not losing anything because we're still getting 30% of our Ignore Defense from AoE abilities, and he only AoEs. So this is on a 3-turn cooldown. This is on a 4-turn cooldown with an extra turn. He's a very, very powerful kit. Now, I don't have a soul for him at the moment, but I will be hunting for some souls. Ideally, the 4-star breakpoint. We really want as much crit damage as we can. Right now, The build is still growing, but 295% crit damage. We will get the 5% mastery. I'll go grab that very quickly to get us up to 100% crit rate, so it's not at 99%. And then this defense number will grow. The defense is still important, but it's not as vital as crit damage. Crit damage is the key to everything when it comes to enemy max HP. If I was more interested in making his A1 do a lot of damage, I'd be more focused on his defense. Now for your secondary tree choice, obviously you want to go down the offense tree because we want to get Helm Smash, or we want to get things probably like either Whirlwind of Death. We definitely want to get Cycle of Violence. We're going to hit 30% cap probably all the time. So we want the offense tree, but do you want the support tree or the defense tree? Now, some people might jump instantly to go, I want the defense tree. I want more counterattacks for that Enfeeble. But the Laura Steel Mastery is very powerful for variable sets, because in variable sets, you get a lot of stats. We're going to get 10% or 15% crit rate, 30% crit damage, and 10% speed. So that roughly means that if I was to put Laura Steel on, I'd get about 4.5% more crit damage. In terms of speed, his base speed is 110. So right now the set is giving me around about 11 speed, and I would get 15% more of that 11 speed. So that's going to give me an additional 1 speed or 2 speed. Now that's not a lot. The crit damage though, 4.5% is quite a lot. You could also get a little bit more from crit rate. Not that I need it because I'm already over capped, so it's not a problem. So the question really becomes, do you want to take the Laura Steel to try and get a little bit more crit damage, or do you want to take the defense tree to basically give you a little bit more survivability? Now, he's going to give you increased defense. He's going to give you a defense-based champion here. Does it really require the counterattack when pretty much he's going to counterattack if any form of turn meter reduction happens to him anyway, which is quite strong already? You could also give him counterattack. I do think, for me personally, I think I would prefer to get a little bit of the accuracy to help him, because essentially he's got accuracy buff, which means that this isn't 10 accuracy, it's 15 accuracy, because we're going to get 50% of it when he does the buff. So it's much more valuable. And then I would rather take the Laura Steel buffs here. I also want to take Sniper, because this is going to improve the chance of me landing in Feeble. It's not a crowd control, so therefore it applies here. And I also want to take Master Hexer if I don't take one of these more offensive ones. I don't think I'll take Kill Streak, and I don't think I will take the Blood Shield. You could make a case to take the Stoke to Fury if you wanted to, but I don't think it is as important. So that is what we're going to do. In terms of the last buff here, we could absolutely just take the max HP. Why not? Because we're going to be attacking and one-shotting things. So this is an example of what you can do with Marius. I've actually realized when I was testing various different things how very difficult it is to hit enemy max HP with such a high level of defense on the Sand Devil. Hopefully with the upcoming boss changes that will probably be live, maybe by the time this video goes live, that will help to simplify and really kind of make some of these teams available. I was looking at using Chancellor Adeline for it to basically set up the sleep. Not as good as Sify, but it might be quite good. I will do a full video probably going through all of the different dungeons in terms of where you can adapt Marius for. But I just wanted to kind of showcase to you the strength that he's got here in terms of being able to do damage. So I've just adapted my Nightmare team at the moment for Hydra. I've taken out Michinaki and I've taken out Garrel. I brought in Newt and Marius. We're able to do a good comparison with the enemy max HP. Obviously, with enemy max HP in Hydra, the higher the difficulty, the more value you're going to get. So you really want to kind of keep that in mind when you use him. You want to be on the higher difficulty. Now here, for example, we really want to kind of get rid of the Wrath Head first. He is the biggest threat. So we can see 273. I'm hitting pretty much enemy max HP cap there with Newt. It's not difficult at all, because with enemy max HP here, we don't have any problems in terms of AoE penalties with Newt. However, we are going to get it with Marius. You'll see right now, if I was to use the enemy max HP at this moment, we're probably not going to see much value because it's going to be quite low. 107, 108. Still pretty good, but quite low. Now, one of the advantages with having a defense-based champion here alongside defense-based Nuke, with, say, a defense-based Provoker, a very tanky Lydia, a defense-based Alatrian, is the threat from the Wrath Head is significantly lower. We can probably survive a non-decreased attack, increased attack, buffed up, sort of passive activated Wrath Head. Very likely that we can survive this, because everyone is super tanky. Normally on Nightmare that would absolutely wipe you, but because we get Marius's defense buff, we get all these stable situations here, we absolutely can survive. So we're going to go through another AoE here. We're going to see that now we're starting to see a bit better in terms of the enemy max HP potential on this Poison Cloud head. We're actually just going to finish this head off, hopefully, with a bit of Soul Reap. So now we can get started here properly, right? So we've got all this set up. We got rid of the Poison Cloud. We can see some good value. Now, the Head of Suffering is always going to be the desirable one for you to attack because it has a higher max HP. So we'll be able to get more value from this ability. So even though we're going to weak hit here, it's probably best for us to do this. even though we triple weak hit, which is absolutely typical when you want to test something out in a video. But the concept being that you will be able to hit a higher max HP, so it'll be about 550,000, where all the other heads are around about 3 million health, so it's not as effective. Now we can go in for another max HP. Let's see how much damage we're at. 10.2. How much does one enemy max HP do here? Well, that's taking us to about 14.5. So it's about a 3.5 million hit there from Marius. We're going to try and see if we can get a proper A3 available for Newt now. And obviously Newt is very much more dependent with Hex. The way that you set up Newt, single target into lots of Hex so that you can get the maximum value of damage. And we're back round to the enemy max HP. One of the good things about Marius here is, because he's getting this extra turn, the 3-turn cooldown is always going to be available to you much more frequently than, say, a Newt. Newt's on a 4-turn cooldown, so you're going to get this better. We won't necessarily always be able to hit Poison Cloud, but if you hit a head that isn't Poison Cloud, then you're going to get the Hex reflection anyway. So let's do an A3 here on this head. Doesn't matter about decapitation, you can't breach it. So that was about a 2.5. So you can see a 1 A3 from Newt can't really match now the full power of Marius. I'm going to run this through now to like boss turn 30 or so we can get a bit of a sample size as to how good does Marius compare to someone like a Newt. In Hydra. You would expect AoE to beat a Newt, but it doesn't always happen like that. So we've reached turn boss 30. Ideally, we're going to just like A1 here, just to get us to a nice 50 million damage, hopefully. Give or take. There we go. We're going to end it there. Let's see what the comparison is in terms of the damage output. And you can see that Marius is absolutely decimating Newt in this build right now. Newt is obviously hitting max HP caps. Not the best affinity for him, because Suffering is really his best head, so you can get the biggest spread of debuffs. And we did have Hex up all the time because we have Hex in Lydia and in Archer, so we have double Hex component. Marius absolutely dominating here without any soul or any awakening of any sort. So he is a monster for Hydra, and where you will really use him is if you compare him with another enemy max HP to really one-shot things. My next task now is to go through all of my dungeon teams and to see how many of them can I optimize into a very, very quick kill scenario. If he's going to appear in Amius, very quick kill scenario. So the biggest task I got to do right now is go and get his Masteries so that I can get all these extra bonus damage effects, because it will be quite difficult to hit enemy max HP without the 10% multiplier. It's only I think it's a 3% multiplier. So we will need things like Helm Smasher. We will need things like Bring It Down, Single Out, Methodical, potentially for a little bit of bonus damage, additional stats from Laura Steel, just to try and uplift his damage as much as we can. And then if I can get lucky with a blessing, maybe we will also get some joy here. I think I can now get the blessing now that we've actually summoned him. I don't think you can get the blessing in the market until you actually summon them, so that is a good deal. I think that's the way it works. Let's just see. I think there's a list here. Souls for the following champions will only be added to the pool when you have them, and I would imagine somewhere down here is Marius the Gallant. So now I can actually summon Marius the Gallant. I couldn't before. So I've just collected my Hydra rewards. Let's put in the wish list Marius the Gallant. Let's take out Newt for the time being. Let's put in Marius the Gallant. Is he down here? He'll be by affinity, so he'll be Void. Marius the Gallant. There he is. Pony time. And let's see, maybe we get lucky. Maybe we get a 6-star soul. We've been pretty lucky with stalls this week. I can't really complain. It's probably going to be 6 rares. If we're being honest, it is 1-star souls. You gotta keep yourself grounded in reality. But every so often, something great comes out of here that we should be excited about. So far, it is as we expected, 1-star souls. But there's still an awakening boost going on. So there is a legendary. It's not the max HP we wanted. It's a 2-star Acrizia. That's not quite the max HP. Very similar champion, but not what we wanted. We get another rare. And that's a 1-star Painkeeper. What else do we get? Another rare, and the last one. These are the Hydra souls that you get every week. The final one is an epic, but it is not Marius the Gallant, so we will be chasing the Marius Gallant. I'm pretty sure that is my second Acrizia soul. There we go. We don't really need the 1-star. If we manage to get one Acrizia, it will be a miracle. So that's what the hunt will be now for, is a better blessing, get his Masteries done, and then to go through all the dungeons. I'm pretty confident that he can now make a very fast Iron Twins team. I'm pretty confident that all of the dungeons, like Shogun, potentially he could improve in. Although my current Shogun team is very, very fast. I did try him, but I'm pretty sure my double Whisper right now might just absolutely out-dominate. And we can do a little quick example test here to see, just by throwing them in, what would it be? I do have extremely strong Whispers with full Mastery, so it's not really a fair comparison. but I'm pretty sure that this team, the Whispers, might outdamage the Gallant. What you got to remember about enemy max HP, if your actual direct damage dealers can hit harder than the 10% of the boss's HP, then it's not an improvement. So if the two combined attacks from Whisper is greater than the 3 max HP stacks, then in essence it's not good to bring a max HP because you're actually taking longer. You can see this is taking 25 seconds. So we basically do it in 2 full rotations with this setup. If we were to take out one of the Whispers, let's take out the non+1, bring in Marius the Gallant, and we're going to tell him to do A1 into, we don't even need A1 into A2 actually, we should probably tell him to do A1 into A2. Let's see how it goes. Will it be better or will it be worse? I got a gut feeling it's going to be worse. I got a feeling that the Whisper, because it's fully built out, is going to be stronger. There's the enemy max HP. See, we don't quite hit the cap, but already you can see the difference in damage. He's hitting for about 200k, that's about 600,000. Whisper can do that in one ability. There you go, 200,000. Can the Whisper finish it in one go? She probably can. Actually, it's faster. It is faster. There we go. It is actually faster. So we've improved that time. That's the best time I've ever done it. 22 seconds. You could even run a Newt if you wanted to, but I actually think my Whisper here is probably doing more damage than the Newt could do, potentially. And also Newt, you've got to worry about weak affinity, so it's not a consistent damage stream. When they do the boss rework, it's probably going to be a potential option too, but we might even find that Whisper just does more damage if the boss's stats are to a lower level. So there you go, Marius the Gallant, an absolute godly champion to pick up. I absolutely think he's well worth it. I will be working on refining his build bit by bit, trying to hit these really high caps, and then rebuilding all of my dungeon teams to basically work with a Newt Marius. Newt and Pony. That's the adventures we're going to go on. Let me know in the comments below, guys, where are you at in your mission track? I know some of these missions are pretty aggressive, are pretty horrible, especially the things like get 1 mythical boot, get 4 mythical chest plates. Those are extremely energy intensive if you're really trying to push. I got lucky with the boots, the chest not so much. The live arena fights are pretty awful unless you're in a lower tier. I did all mine in gold 3 or gold 2, near enough gold 3, so it's getting a bit nasty in terms of mythicals now. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.